Ha! Tricked you with my shoes. Ha 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 ha. I'm funny. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Shyzalosophy 101. That's right, it's great to be alive, hooray. That's fantastic. Here's your host, Shyzabox. Is the show starting? Oh, it must be. We heard our introduction. Whoa, what a fantastic greeting. Oh, everybody loves us. Oh, we're everybody's favorite. Warm introduction. Whoa, good girl. Get out of here. And the horse. You've been on. Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, nuns and all. That's right, priests, preachers, cardinals, rabbis, weirdos with beardos, Alcoholics Anonymous, anyone who accidentally clicked on this by mistake. Boys, your algorithm messed up now. Welcome, nuns, welcome all. We have got a fantastic show for you today. Oh, sorry. By fantastic, we mean free. We have got a free show for you today. That's right. Might be saying, not worth it. Keep those comments to yourself, Mom. All right. All right. Well, you might be asking yourself, what are we doing here so early? Why are we kicking it at a time that we usually don't timely kick it within? I don't know, maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But as we sat around and thought to ourselves, we're not doing anything important at the present. Why not sit around and hang out with whoever feels like it? Now, you might be saying that obviously, what inherently is the point if you don't have a topic of conversation, a point of interest, something to, entertain that of the masses who want that of a, entertainment thereof, okay? Now, obviously, we aren't your run-of-the-mill, what you would call streamer of sorts, okay? Well, don't get us wrong. We show up, okay? But remember, we called Daryl of the Dixon dibs on being best of the worst internet celebrities. That's right. Means everything else that you watch aside from this, guaranteed to be better. Okay? It's our personal guarantee to you, yourself. Okay? Now you might be jealous and thinking to yourselves like, damn it, Walking Dead, Daryl the Dixon dibs, why didn't I think of that? That's because obviously we did first. Okay? So we call Daryl of the Dixon dibs being best of the worst, which means inherently show's always going to be crap. Okay, but best of the worst internet celebrities. That means we get to kind of be a celebrity. Okay, now, whether a good one or a definitely not good one, subjective and beside the point. Okay, remember, even bad celebrities get to be celebrities. So when we call Daryl of the Dixon dibs, which, fairness, Walking Dead, okay, we called it. Daryl of the Dixon dibs being best of the worst internet celebrities, okay? The show sucks. Okay? It's not going to really get better. Well, unless you upgrade our stuff, because believe you me, we don't have a ceiling. We're not buying a new camera and microphone. Keep in mind, though, obviously, we know our place. We know we're never going to replace the Asmund of the Golds, the Joes of the Rogans, and the entertaining of the good people. Okay? All of those people who put in what is called effort. Okay? Nah, you're not going to get that here. Round 4 level of crap, right? When we called Daryl of the Dixon dibs, we knew that we would be, in essence, walked all over. Okay? Now, believe you me, in some sort of way, shape, and form and fashion, it's kind of kinky and we may enjoy it a little bit. But, it's beside the point. Okay? Needless to say, as we venture into that of what we do today, as we are, of course, maybe here a little earlier than when we have been as of late, though honest time frame wise that we have been before. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Time is subjective, right? we don't like to adhere and maintain to that of what's called a schedule, right? Now, it makes it really, really bad of us to, say that and do that for all ones of our fan. Hi, Mom. Point is that, we like to resonate with whoever's going to hit it up and hang out and have that of whatever time they feel like devoting until we say a bad word and they leave, and or we say something ridiculous and they leave, and or they watch enough of us and find and realize to themselves, what the fuck am I watching? And they leave. Doesn't matter, okay? Good old Shyzabox being best of the worst, we don't chase the, clout, the scripifications and things like that your typical channel may very well do, okay? For us as practicing, albeit maybe not good ones, cosmological philosophers and things of that nature, inherently, we let that of working metrics and measures do that of which can afford much better results than what we can. Like if we were chasing literally our own subscriptions, our own thumbs up upvotes, which are constructs, whether digital or not. Even a subscription based to a channel, it's a construct of everyone who might buy into that of the channel. So, yes, it's a physically digital constructification. But if we're going to use techniques and tactics to try and, elicit our own subscriber base, to try and even come into rings or thresholds of competing, we're going to use those tried and true methods that have been showcased to know and work in regular society. Thusly, we have, obviously, our wacky, waving, inflatable, flailing arm guy for our marketing budget. Now, you might be saying, what? Psh, fucking subscribe, right? Right away. When we're driving down the highway, mattress store, eye doctor, 3 more mattress stores, tire shop, we see wacky, waving, inflatable, flailing arm guy. Psh, we're pulling off. Selfie. Right away. Immediately. Okay? Believe you me. But it is in chasing that of which we do not chase, obviously, that we let that of the marketing techniques and tactics utilize that of their abilities to do what they do. Okay? When we see wacky, waving, inflatable, flailing arm guy at, insert every single mattress store here or there, we stop, take a selfie with it, and at least go in and talk to the people who work there because, let's be honest, that's why they have it. They get lonely, and they know that people who love those damn things are going to stop, take a selfie, stop in, maybe keep them company for a while as they use their storefront to... How the fuck are there so many mattress stores that pop up? What? We're talking about the moon. No, we're not. We're talking about mattress stores. Those are physical. Oh, we joke. Point is that whether there's many mattress stores that pop up in seemingly a blanketedly short amount of time, which construct, there's a lot of mattress stores that pop up in a short amount of time in, all sorts of crazy situations. Where does that mattress money come from? People laying on their backs? Who bet it does. But before we get too far in this stream, of course, keep in mind everything here is for philosophical entertainment, and it is this point in time that we do need to apologize for something pertaining to our last stream. That's right, we can't be perfect all the time. That's God's job, right? Point is that in reference to our last stream, pertaining to our last stream, sorry about that. Forgive and forget. Fantastic. All right, so as we venture to hang out and contemplate that of which we do today, we are concerning ourselves with the fact that, in essence, time being a construct and us not really adhering to or maintaining that of any degree or semblance of, what you would call schedule, right? It's because, when we operate on the metrics that we do, we give away every single component of and about us predominantly for free, okay? You might be saying, is that how those viruses are being spread around? No! Not funny, Mom. Remember, this is public. This is live. We're not at the breakfast table. Stop making fun of me. Point is that, no, we're not talking about how the virus spreads around unless you're talking about the viral infection of Lithic Logic and conscious thought. Maybe that spreads around. Good old Shyzabox provides some of his insights into, I don't know, whatever. And or solidify your thoughts into that of your own metric and accord. But remember, we give everything about us away for free, okay? We got the IPFS site, we have all of our games, our demos, our theories, everything on there, all working, all functional, many ways, shape, and form. Don't get us wrong, some of our games, there might be a glitch here, a bug there, but they're playable. With Capybara Creek, remember, get to the third wave before you discount it. But Shyzapong, awesome, free, and fantastic. Point is that while we give all that stuff away for free, okay, the only thing that we ever paywall is that of our literary works, okay, that of our books, that of things of that nature, okay, because that's going to be our conscious thought, okay? You can have the games for free, you can have the demos for free, we can all work together in the future wild, wild west of the internet technology of Web3. We can all work together. Hell, we got a sovereign micro blockchain we are happy to, have and utilize and put thereupon every single component or aspect that, anyone wishes us to. Within reason. In thought, theory, form, fashion, and function, corporations kind of be damned. Okay? Now, that's because corporations lord that of everything else over that of the general public. So why would us, a member of the general public, a member of humanity, give that of all of our, endeavors to a corporation and things of that nature, right? Now, surely an Elon the Musk, a Jeff of the Bezos, state representative of the government can show up with a briefcase full of cash and be like, hey, Shyzabox, come make us some cool shit on Web3 or whatever, okay? Come put some SHA seals on some of our files so that we know their point of origin, okay? We're wasting a lot of time in court on legal battlements and things of that nature pertaining to file origination. SHA seal them motherfuckers and be done with it, okay? So, with us not being under an NDA, not working for a big company, not doing anything like that, we don't necessarily like to keep that of traditional schedule, things of that nature, okay? Especially, we got buddies that, live and work internationally and things of that nature, even from and of wherever that in they reside, okay? Metaphysical friends and family, right? That exist in that of their own reality, of course. That exists in that of this reality, absolutely. Though, without grounded truth, realization, and foundation, do that of anything that is that of a construct exist, or is it merely a construct that is? Definitely worth contemplating. Remember, keep in mind, this show is for philosophical entertainment. Utilize that of any understanding and or takeaways and or interpretives which are subjective in nature for that of which you realize them to be and that of your own subjective understandings. We can guide a horse to a book. We can't make him open it and drink water that it pours out. I don't know. If it could do that metaphysically or somewhere like that, which I don't know, it probably could. You set it under a fountain or have it collect something, pour water out of it. I don't know. You could probably literally pour water from a book somehow. Okay? So in reality, you could say it, but you could probably actually do it as well. Theoretically and probably in fairly adequate principle and practice, especially, if you start arguing what is necessarily a book. Okay? You start using, kind of bigger magazines, manuscripts, stuff like that, you could probably house and hold and form and pour quite an amount of water from them, okay? Point is that, you can lead the horses there too, but not necessarily going to drink anything that you pour out from such of which, okay? With time being a construct, with time being that of what it is for everyone, everyone's on their own schedule, everyone has their own things that they need to do, want to do, wish to do, desire to do. All right, we take it upon ourselves to form and function in that of the same craziness and metrics with which we are afforded the opportunities to. Okay? Everyone's got stuff to do. Even poor old Shyzabox has got random stuff we've gotta do. Okay? There are components and aspects to living, working, thriving in that of what could be construed as life. Okay? That necessitate one's ability to formulate and function properly and efficiently therein with which to even maintain a basic subsistence living. Okay? Now, believe you me, good old Shyzabox wants for naught, we are afforded a blessed opportunity with which to do that of independent research into the, endeavors and events and circumstances and situations with which we endeavor to venture and circumvent thereunto situations thereof. Okay? We are afforded a very, 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 very unique and blessed opportunity, all right, to do such kind of contemplations, to do such kind of, independent research and endeavors, all right, so we don't need to have any kind of oversight because we're not under an NDA. We don't need to not share our developments or our theories because we're not under an NDA. So we share it all for free, okay? There's too much stuff in the world today that does not come with receipts. There are too many people today that formalize theory and formalize, their thoughts and all of this, that, the other, and come with zero computational components or aspects or logicality to even back it up, okay? Anyone can have a thought. I mean, hell, we had the thought for the title of this video within that of the confines of merely looking at that of what exists of the moon today. Okay? The moon being out and reflecting thereon, if you go to the thumbnail that we posted and things of that nature, right, it's like the sun's reflecting it, and as above, so below. Say the world were a toroidal kind of helical-like shape that had some kind of magnetic field that implemented a, toroidal kind of spinny effect to make it look at the speeds that it does, that of globe shape. Theoretically, for philosophical entertainment, as above, so below would mirror that of not necessarily a flat plane and or world, theoretically, okay? But obviously, from the thumbnail itself, you tilt the world on its side, you could constitute that of the moon's base as the firmament thereof, okay? Maybe those craters, those circles, maybe that's impacts from shit hitting the firmament from the outside. I don't know. It's all for philosophical entertainment. We're just conjecturing, right? But theoretically, you look at the thumbnail, and, with the sun where it was when we were looking at it, okay, if the sun were hitting that of the sphere there, then, yes, the other side's obviously obfuscated from view, but wouldn't we be able to see the darker portions of the moon with the being daytime and all? All right, like a picture wasn't at night. It was merely, just a couple few hours ago, things of that nature. But, this is, again, all for just, philosophical thought and theory and, philosophical fun. There's no, reasoning behind it or anything as to one's subjective quantum, contemplationary thoughts within that of the metaphysical, okay? Again, before we start looking way too crazy on the internet, okay, because we already look very, very crazy when we go around saying that we theoretically solved the Voynich manuscript and theoretically solved Tesla and then give people those hard equations to, put into a calculator like 1 divided by 7, okay? When we say we theoretically solved Tesla's 369 challenge to that of, humanity and or understanding that of knowledge or learning to understand knowledge, because one can never know knowledge. But obviously, if you do 1 divided by 7, it is the only number therein within that has no remainder, 3, 6, and or 9, and that of the remainder, okay? So theoretically, we think that he was merely saying, once you understand 369, not in the confines of everyone has been searching for Tesla's 369, but in doing the equation that, we came up with there, very hard, 1 divided by 7, and knowing that that was the number there without 3, 6, or 9, maybe we were looking at things the wrong way for humanity for a while, okay? Now, we don't want to tell you wrong, so believe you me, please audit us and check our math. Pull up a calculator, run the equation. You might need a TI-85 graphing calculator or something like that. Do that 1 divided by 7 and then see there within if, the remainder there has that of the 369. Hey, Operator Kev, welcome. 369, damn thing's fine. Well, there you go. You know, K-Money, everything's fine now. You know, we're venturing off, branching off into really, in essence, subjectively nothing, okay? But with you being here now, we can segue and do whatever you want us to. If everyone doesn't know, K-Money is our Diamond Platinum Sponsor Plus, okay? Now, it's not something that anyone can just get, but K-Money gets it because why not? You can get it too. Hell, everyone can be a Diamond Sponsor Plus, but K-Money gets our devoted attention for now because he's letting us eat at his table, okay? Now, not his physical table, his metaphysical table, all right? We have what you call, we're at his beck and whim to do whatever. You need anything done, K-Money, you need a game or a demo, you want us to dedicate a book, we dedicate a book to you, got some titles coming out pretty soon. Theoretically, I mean, soon enough. We've been dragging feet on our buddy's Secret Demon Drop 2 or whatever. He gave us the manuscript a minute back. We got to get that done for him, okay? But whatever you want, K-Money, you name it. We're at your beck and call. So we got nothing going on, you know, and we don't have a boss. We aren't under an NDA. We don't work for a big company. We don't need to listen to an HR department that says, shut up, quit giving away all of our information. We can give away all of our demos, our games, everything we make for free because we don't have a boss and no one wants to buy that shit anyway. Doesn't matter. So it's all free. It's on the Sovereign Micro Blockchain, IPFS site. K-Money can tell you all about it. Or he can't. I don't know. He might have never gone. Doesn't matter. It exists or it doesn't. If you're having trouble, of course, accessing it, that's why we have the Pinata, which more expensive than we thought it was. Only the free versions are housed now, but, you know, there is a pinned available version that is more friendly for mobile and things of that nature that you can access, go to, and, you know, we have working iterations thereof, and a little blanketed taste, just a taste of what the IPFS site is, but we have a very blanketed taste of what the IPFS site is. I think it has 2 functional and 1 that we couldn't get totally housed to, you know, work on there, the metric. Nah, don't worry about it. The games work. Go play Shyzapong, it's free, okay? You're good, dude. Do your thing. I'm driving home from work. Got 48 minutes to go. 48 minutes to go! Well, no wonder it's in 12-hour days, K-Money. Yeah, shit, dude. We've been there, and believe you me, we're glad that, you know, yeah, you're able to hang out on the show. Well, shit, K-Money, you're in for the long haul. We're in for the long haul. Believe you me. We didn't have nothing going on, but all right, yeah, K-Money has unleashed the dragon, as Cisco would say. Might be saying, who the fuck's Cisco? Go watch an old rerun of a Super Bowl from 13 years ago. I don't know. Unleash the dragon. Let me see that thong, 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 thong. Oh, sorry, you can't request that nowadays. It has to be unsolicited thong pics that come your way. No. Sexual harassment is, of course, subjectively not subjective when it is that of what is constituted as sexual harassment. We are not lawyers. Do not sexually harass anyone. It is against the law, many places, and it's not allowed. It's frowned upon. Don't do it. Let's talk about something else. Everything's fine. Oh, what was that? Read a poem from our poetry book. Now let's read a quote from something else. Okay. If you really want us to read a quote from something else, and not a poem from our poetry book, yeah, okay, all right. All right, we'll read a quote from Nailing Kalimba. No, don't. Why? K-Money said we can do whatever. We're peddling more of our wares. K-Money, email the channel, brother, and, we'll be able to correspond and chat therewith. Should you feel once upon a time to ever do such. All right, one thing that we love about Nailing Kalimba is, obviously, we wrote it. But when we look past that and put aside that of our human limitations and confines of our subjective understanding of our greatness within that of our own eyes, which isn't that great. Well, subjectively for that of who. But remember, one thing we really love about this book, Nailing Kalimba, is the shipwreck contents. That's just fantastic. What books have shipwreck contents in them besides this one? 10-4 on the email. Hey, right on. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, touch base. Absolutely. Because, believe you me, we got nothing else to do, and you're pretty much our boss now. All right. This is from Nailing Kalimba. No, don't read it. Okay, we will. When I was but a lad, suckling on me mother's tit, I could hear that of the sea calling my nature. 'Twas this indeed from war me tale begins. Nay, 'twas merely upon that of the teat itself, where I suckled the beat of that of the universe. Ah, yes, fantastic. We'll leave that cliffhanger there so more people buy it. All right, where were we? So, with us venturing into, like we said, not the construct of, appearing here and there whenever it works out within the schedule, whenever we're able to, just pop along. It's because everyone everyone lives by their own schedulings anyway, okay? People are going to watch if they feel like watching. People are going to tune in if they feel like tuning in. People are going to resonate with and correlate with that of whatever we provide in any form, fashion, function, okay? Should they desire to do such, okay? There's no hand-holding on that of stuff that you watch, on content you consume, or on stuff that is, presented before you, all right? The only hand-holding comes from other entities, actually, like we were saying yesterday, K-Money brought up, companies and entities putting stuff subliminally either behind or, as we mentioned, like right there front and center in the forefront of driving a thought into your mind with which to, have you contemplate, think of, and or endeavor to embark upon acting on within that of, the time frame it is, okay? Now, we don't want to look ridiculous. Of course, you know this. We need to put on our thinking hats so we don't look super absurd. As we find ourselves to be in, that of a fairly cool, calm, collected mood today, we should embark on the thinking hat that reflects as such and much. All right. With, however, goings-ons with whatever, endeavors that any entity time-wise takes on, all right? It's all subjective, okay? What is day shift for one is night shift for another. What is daytime for one is nighttime for another, okay? When you look at the entire humanity as a whole, the entire globe, the entire grid as a whole, all right, it's hard to function and formulate, a way to practically adhere to and apply to everyone's abilities to correlate with and or check out or check upon that of a measure or metric if it doesn't line up with them, okay? We have ourselves personally, back in the day, followed that of streamers that had set scheduling and or that do have set scheduling, and it is fairly nice to know, hey, this person's going to be here at X, Y, or Z time, generally. This person's going to be able to watch something at X, Y, and Z time, generally. This is going to be some fantastic stuff to partake in, on a regular basis, okay? And believe you me, when you start adhering to that metric, when you start balancing your life around that of their lives, it becomes fairly hard, very disheartening, and very kind of frustrating on the times and events and functions when people actually take that time off. Okay, if you're following a live streamer, okay, and they're going out and, doing stuff, hey, we're Monday at this time, Wednesday at this time, Friday at this time, consistently. Then they take a week off. Well, what are you doing that Monday, Wednesday, and Friday? The world, the internet, the creation that is, the 3D realm within which we live, again, all for philosophical entertainment, that of where we reside, okay, on the lithical, structural, foundational, physical reality that is the 3D realm, okay, whether it is a construct or not, okay? theoretically, all for philosophical entertainment, all right, that of the basis foundation of which we live upon, all right, the interactability of any metric need apply to the whole, because if you merely say or merely showcase the, small area that one may reside with, that one may function with, that one may endeavor to correlate therewith time-wise or anything like that, okay? If you fail to account for everything else and merely adhere to those standards, those times, those parameters around the showcasing or the streaming process, all right, you're doing a disservice to all of the other entities that may reside out there, all right, that aren't necessarily hip or privy and or desirable to, be there working there with. Big JC in the house. Welcome, welcome. We've got some crazy show going on today. Not really. No. We did run out of swill though, so that might be an issue in a minute. Believe you me, we got a placeholder for a sec, but it only lasts so long. Guaranteed we're gonna have to do a back in 5 probably in like 5. Something, I don't know. Maybe, we'll see. We'll push the limits, we'll push the bounds. Time is a construct, and K-Money had 45 minutes to go in his drive. Believe you me, that can be a long time, especially if you're trying to sit through one of these. Yep, Big JC, welcome. Got some fantastic stuff on the horizon today. Don't know, if anyone else is aware of this, but it is through the Big JC that we actually were able to meet that of one of the philosophers that we have embarked upon and have a very kindred friendship as of years and decades at this point and such. But yeah, the philosopher Jimmy Jamz or whatever from back in the day, definitely he hooked us up with getting to meet that dude or whatever. And, we hit it off then, and, rest is history. Point is that you never know time-wise if you cut off one aspect or component of what you do from the rest of what can be, all right, you're going to do a disservice to that of what you may be attempting to do in essence. Now, theoretically, there is definitely some apparatuses and things of that nature that need be cut out. The cancers of society, if you will, the entities that are Joey-esque in nature, okay? That's right. If it's from Joey, it's a Noe, okay? Everyone knows this at this point, okay? All of these negative, Joey, disgusting things need to be contended with in immediate form, function, fashion, okay? You need to eliminate the Joey and eradicate any malicious code, sinful nature, things of that nature from whatever's around you, okay? Because believe you me, the minute you can ball all that nastiness up, take it, chuck it, get rid of it. Don't have it in your life. Believe you me, we usually have to ball it up with, that of the 90s methodologies from comedies and sitcoms and movies from the time. It's the only tried and true practice that we've ever found that really works to, house and, get all of the negative energies that, are inadvertently just in existence in the ether around oneself. Okay? That was 2, it takes 3, everyone knows this. Excellent. All right, so you get all the negative energy together, obviously, and heads, clean that shit up, believe me. You don't want that negative energy sitting around. We had to get rid of it. If it's a Joey, it's a Noe. That's absolutely right. If you go to the IPFS site, you can go all the way down to the bottom. It's Joey's trash bin. It's actually kind of, we turned it into screensaver. If you want a Web3 screensaver, again, do you really need a screensaver nowadays? No. But we made a screensaver for Web3. We actually, I think we made 2 or 3 screensavers for Web3. We can't remember. We haven't looked at it in a while. But if you go down to Joey's trash bin, it's literally, it's free screensavers for Web3. You go, rock them, have at it, you know, yeah, good old fun. Like, yeah, if it's a Joey, it's a Noe, emphasized, absolutely. K-Money's a fast learner, Big JC will tell you this. K-Money he's become one of the bros. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. No ifs, ands, or buts. You know, he totally understands. You gotta eradicate and eliminate any Joeyisms from that of existence, okay? Because Joeyisms can set you back, all right? Joeyisms set us back from coming up with, you know, in essence, stuff for a long time, pretty much our whole lives, till we started like, hey, we could do stuff. But we didn't know we could do stuff until Wikipedia told us that we couldn't do stuff, okay? When we wrote the paragraph that is necessitated to describe lectin, all right, and gave it to Wikipedia because they had the dead-end red search term on their site because they're stupid, theoretically. I mean, you know, it's a smart service, provides very, very goodness for what it does, but the powers that lord the control over it, dumb, in our opinion. Irrelevant, subjective, right? That's just our interpretation thereof. Doesn't matter. Site exists under the parameters and means that it does, and it functions under the parameters that it does as well, and adheres to stupidity. Theoretically, in our opinion. Now, when Wikipedia told us that we couldn't, and then we were like, psh, but we can, then we did. Okay, now, to what degree of perfection, to what degree of certainty, that can all be argued, that can all be, you know, talked about, that can all be contemplated, that can all be attacked, that can all be, fortunately for us, audited. Okay? It's the difference between a lot of people who come out with, you know, little kind of metrics and systems of philosophies, okay? A lot of philosophy is just subjective to interpretation. It's subjective to understanding. It's subjective to what knowledge could be and or the lack of one not being able to ever truly know knowledge, okay? There are components to philosophy that are merely subjective inherently in all their nature that one can never audit to its full extent or capabilities within the confines of understanding, okay? It just can't be done. You can't even adequately nowadays, and no one has been able to for centuries, to adequately nowadays and or then-a-days and or in past, present, or future days from this point now. No one can ever take one of Aristotle's works. No one can ever take one of, you know, Plato's works. One can never take the derived interpretations from Socrates, okay, and inherently know that foundationally that's what they were saying, that's what they were meaning, that's what was meant when they were saying what they did. If you do not have that person to go to and ask, yes, thank you for the love hearts, we deserve them. If you do not have a person to go to and ask, that is the first-hand accounting of that, all right, then it's all subjective interpretations. The only way to actively work and reside and live in a living, working, and system within which you reside is to work within that living system that is living, okay? That's the difference between us and Einstein as far as logic, okay? We feel, theoretically, Einstein was looking at a dead system with his stuff, okay? We like to look at a living system because good old Shyzabox is living, and we love it. Okay? Believe you me, every day is a blessing. Okay? Foundationally, all right, most philosophy cannot be looked at and or audited anything past what is written upon the words and or verbal retellings of what was once that of the philosophy therein. To have a living philosophy one can check with, one can audit, okay, that already is approachable to an entirely different means and metric of understanding than what was, okay? If you were not listening to Socrates speak and you could not go and talk to Socrates or get the message from Socrates, you're not getting Socrates. I mean, maybe you are, but this ties into that of delectable understanding there, K-Money. Okay? What was done first can get done again, can get done again, can get done again, can get done again, all right? And the more that it's done, it's not necessarily better, it's not necessarily worse, but it's subjective to an entirely different interpretation to what it could or should be, all right? We see Einstein's name coming up, so let's go check out what we got there. Einstein is accused of plagiarism and was widely criticized by the scientific communities of his time. Well, absolutely, we know that he had big fallings out with many entities, and we know that there's so many points of contention around that of even today. There are sites devoted entirely to proving Einstein wrong. EinsteinWasWrong.com or whatever, it doesn't matter. EinsteinTheory.com, I don't know. There are entire apparatuses that are devoted to, repurposing, reformulizing, relooking at that of Einstein's works, okay? And we're not opposed to any aspect or component of that because we look at his works a little differently too, okay? Well, celebrate it or don't, doesn't matter. It's all subjective, right? So you get that empirical validation, which we don't seek in that of our means because we already have computational validation. We already have theoretical validation. Empiricism be damned. We don't need to chase subscribers. We don't need to chase thumbs up votes. We don't need to chase anything for that of what we know because it exists. It's literally right here. Okay? Might not be good. There might be better interpretations thereof. It might be the worst monographing of lectin ever created. But to create that of what doesn't exist, all right, that takes some creation. Not only that, but when that creation takes upon itself that of the guise and the parameters and the doings of a metric of computational interface that is outside of the parameters of the computational create-a-face, that was crazy. Okay, the minute that happened too, that was just phenomenally, that's insane. Okay, for this book to break Amazon.com, not Amazon.uk, not Amazon.Japan, not, that, unfortunately. For this to break Amazon.com's pricing algorithm, make itself 92%, 94% off, whatever it was, okay, is ridiculous, okay? It's because the system itself that we operate on, and again, you start looking into science and you start looking into math and things of that nature, inherently, this is all for philosophical entertainment. We are not accredited mathematicians or anything like that, though we do have a shit ton of math for anyone to audit and look at, which computationally has been verified by a computer. So, if you want to outthink the computer and tell the computer that the computer's math is wrong from a means, metric, and understanding of eigenvalues, thermodynamics, constructor theory, Marletto, Deutsch, Wheeler, if you want to formalize a contention with that of any Gödelian claims or aspects to our closed Gödelian Shyzalosophical loop, you're going to be combing through some math, baby, because we done math that bad boy up. But it's all computationally verified, okay? The minute that we moved a metric kernel of data from Kaggle to Web 3, that was game over for that of the theory. Proven beyond any reasoning that we need. We literally have a complete sovereign micro blockchain. Many people may not understand that at all, but anyone can get one. It's doable. the more that people start housing and hosting and holding that of their own files, their own systems, their own beliefs, their own endeavors, all right, and not allowing that of entities, corporations theoretically, or powers, entities that be, to lord that of their own data, information, and subjective interpretations to the entity that is oneself. The minute that oneself claims that back to within that of oneself, within that of the confines to what one believes between them and that of insert religious practice, theological belief, deity of choice, may whatever entity you believe in have mercy on that of your soul, should you have one. Okay? Which we are of the belief that, everyone should. But you entertain that of your own ideas and beliefs, all right? And you work on the metric of your own understanding, okay? You got to set aside the bullshit so that we can start looking at things differently from a global perspective. Because everyone has been operating in the moon and the dark, the day and the light, the yin and the yang, and not navigating that little nice radical access that can go through all of that crap. Like a little Shyza snake. Okay? You just go through it and F you guys, you're all right, maybe we'll resonate with you guys a little bit, and then we quantum tunnel into that little circle there, and it's like, psh, this shit's cool, okay? That's how it works. And then, the loop grows, okay? The sphere becomes bigger, okay? And the ripples ripple out. That's what it does, okay? You quantum tunnel into a new ripple, more ripples. All right, let's see what we're missing. Theoretically, all for philosophical entertainment, of course. Everything's fine. Oh, what was that? Check the chats. We missed some? Okay. Joey Noe, of course, yes. Oh, we missed, of course, welcome to the Bro Club. Of course, yes, K-Money. Einstein used the plagiarism. Yeah, of course, we don't know what the plagiarist works would be inherently upon themselves, but with all of the stories, reasoning, and, of course, mere looking at the movement that went strictly, Einstein, Tesla, it's one of those bridges and divides in society that are exactly like, Freud and Jung, okay? The psychological versionings thereof, understanding of psychology, which we are not psychologists. This is all for philosophical entertainment. Remember, our accreditation is a bachelor's degree in history and a minor in philosophy, okay? We went to school, but do we need to go to more school to do that of what people have done for millennia? No, probably not. Look at all the people that, dropped out of high school and were successful, all 2 of them. 3, 4, I don't know, 6, 7, maybe. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Point is that, education is subjective when it comes down to one's understanding of knowledge. You can understand knowledge, but you can never know knowledge. We wish we could know knowledge. That'd be fantastic. Then we wouldn't know that we can't know knowledge. Always something to learn. That's why we like to take notes sometimes. So we'll forget stuff. We endeavor and venture and embark upon all sorts of crazy things. You never know. All right, let's see what we're missing. History's all lies. Absolutely. But therein lies, lay the truth. It is there, and in a closed-loop system, keep in mind, K-Money, this is very important, okay, for our philosophical understanding, okay? The difference between a broken system, which that, like Landauer or whatever, kind of, his logic, reasoning, and conceptualization, Landauer is disposable logic to us, okay, personally. We reinterpret Fiedler values, we never say that. We reinterpret Fiedler to make Landauer disposable logic because it pertained to a broken system, all right? We operate a completely closed and housed Shyzalosophical IPFS site sovereign micro blockchain, okay? It is not broken. It is fully functional in the form that it functions. And believe you me, it is mathematically precise in a cube octahedron matrix. Okay? Literally, if you want to take some notes, feel free to bust out your official live stream note-taking journal, okay? And you write down a cube octahedron, and you write down vector equilibrium, okay? We use vector equilibrium in a cube octahedron, okay? Now, K-Money, this is important because this is going to tie to that comment that we thought of for like quite some time that we mentioned briefly yesterday, okay? When you talk about a resonator and you talk about that of the differences between a resonating kind of energetic transfer, okay, of energy, of entropy, of any kind of even silt or runoff, okay? You look at the differences and that of a closed system versus that of a mechanical system and the differences that are afforded between a hermetically sealed apparatus and a mechanically sealed apparatus, okay? The mechanical one is going to rattle, it's going to shake, it's going to have usually rubber gaskets, things of that nature, that will break down, that will depreciate, that will become decrepit with that of time, okay? It's what it's designed to do. Look at all of the runoff and the heat that is made from mechanical engines. That's why the engines of cars get hot. Not my Tesla. We don't have a fucking Tesla. Elon Musk don't want to hire us. He just wants his grok to libel us. Which it did. We forgave him. Forgive and forget, right? Now, we forgive. We can try and forget, but I'll be damned if it doesn't make for good entertainment on occasion. Believe you me, not everyone gets libeled by a trillionaire's million or billion-dollar company. Okay? So when you do, you get to claim that crazy shit on the internet, especially if there's receipts and proof on the internet. There is. Go to our X at punkrokreview, spelled the right way that we do it. Or the channel does it. I don't know, whatever. We should have never signed on with this channel. Why won't someone buy our show? Buy it out. Get us off Punk Rock Review. This channel sucks. Oh, buy Shyzalosophy 101. Put it on CNN. CNN sucks. They could use some philosophical entertainment. You don't have a schedule. What? Who cares? They don't have a schedule of producing good content. Samesies. It's pretty much we're CNN. We're already CNN. We just don't get paid like everyone they fired for sucking. Theoretically, in our opinion, for philosophical entertainment. A major part of science is that ideas must stand up to criticism. I personally witnessed a science student at a university get expelled. If we recollect correctly, I want to say we might be privy to some of that information there, Big JC. Man, we want to say that around the time that had happened, or maybe even a short while thereafter, maybe even a couple years after, I could swear we were talking to Jimmy Jamz and such, in one of our philosophical escapades and endeavors that we were embarking upon years ago, and him making mention of someone questioning that of the professor, and like the professor having nothing to do with it, and axing him and stuff like that, getting to the dean, whatever, getting him out, gone. Now, of course, we don't have names, accounts, first-hand details ourselves or anything like that, so we can only go off our subjective interpretations from what we recollect or recall or anything like that. But we know that, yes, it is talked about of having happened, and obviously, beyond all measures means, obviously, certainly, most happenly has. We've even seen during the 2020 COVID time, that shit was getting pretty crazy with, people in classrooms, filming their teachers being crazy as shit. Teachers probably still are. We don't know. I mean, we haven't gone to, schooling in a good while. Probably shows. We should probably go back, sure. Always something to learn, right? But why pay to learn when knowledge is free? He got expelled for challenging the accepted norms. Well, yeah, exactly. We answered our own question before you answered it for us, even though you answered it for us well before we ever thought to answer it ourselves, okay? Point is that, good, now we have the actual complete story. All the professor had to do is challenge a student to a debate. Yeah, no, exactly. But, that's the thing. When you have individuals that have spent 10, 20, 30, 40, their entire lives dedicated to a practice, dedicated to an idea, dedicated to a belief, that's why you can never change one's religion inherently, even when you venture to change one's religion, unless one is willing to change that of their religion by that of their own accord or desire to do such. Okay? There is a entailing and in an entanglement that takes form and root in one's consciousness, okay, theoretically for philosophical entertainment, that makes one refuse to undo the knot that they tangled and weaved. If they spent 1 year coming up with a theory, 2 years practicing it, 3 years writing it, 4 years creating it, 5 years dedicating practice to it, 6 years teaching it, 7 years making it, 9 years getting it published, 10 years teaching it, 11 years of, that's only 10 fingers, asshole, whatever. 11 years putting it together, all right? You have people that have devoted their entire lives to that of this knotted foundational metric of their being. It's a part of them. There's no removing this knot of information within one's being, theoretically, for philosophical entertainment, okay? So for a professor to challenge a student to a debate, that's them having to untangle this knot in this network that they have housed, maintained, solidified over decades worth of time. Whether that information within is true or false, it's irrelevant. They're in it to win it, and believe you me, it takes a very, very, very mighty big professor and or teacher and or academic leader to be like, whoopsies, we were fucking wrong. Okay? You don't get that. Instead, you get people who do not engage with information, who do not engage with that of what they do not understand, yet they claim to want to understand, yet you cannot know knowledge. Okay? You can understand knowledge, okay? You can go to our IPFS site, you can go and read our epistemic paper within which we have on paper 1. Knock yourself out. We do not hide behind the math. We do not hide behind the science. Therein, the math and science exists, and our math is fucking balanced to a T. No remainder, no leftover. We got a completely closed Shyzalosophical loop. Now, Shyzabox can be wrong. We accept that. There's always going to be some component that we overlook. We are flawed. We are man. Remember, there is no other perfect aside from that which is already perfect, that of what is. Insert belief system here. Okay? For us, it is that of God. For another, it might be that of Ein Sof. For a heathenistic bastard, it might be that of nothing. Okay? Believe that of what you will. We are not here to change that of your minds on anything. Everything's fine. What was that? Read a poem from our book? No, we're talking about philosophy or something. Crazy. Everyone's going to believe that of what they will. Everyone's going to resonate with that of what they do, okay? People are going to be on the track and mind of devoting and dedicating decades and decades of their lives to something, and then if they get challenged by a student that picks apart some of their foundational understanding knowledge, they take it as a personal attack on them, and not a debate, not a discussion, not a ascertainment of a desire to seek the truth. That's right. That's wherein us utilizing Shyzalosophy as our living philosophical practice, remember, can only be practiced by that of the living. You need not ascribe to it. Everyone has their own philosophy, okay? Ours, we happen to put some computational mathematics behind and things of that nature, and its metric of understanding lies within the confines of knowing that, obviously, math exists, science exists, If you use it as a metric to base things on, if you use what exists naturally in that of nature, and you conceptualize that of lithic logic and tanglings there too, you can build a networked foundation to build a better future thereupon, all right? You don't need to squabble and argue and debate and nitpick over someone calling that of the greater entity or being God, or that of the greater entity and understanding Ein Sof. It doesn't fucking matter. Ooh, yes it does. See? It does. And we will answer for said comments to insert deity of our belief system here, our belief system there, theoretically for philosophical entertainment. Everyone has that of their own foundational knowledge. No one's going to change that unless there's a desire for one to change it. No one's going to undo those knots as a teacher, as a professor that has put 30, 40 years into, that has maybe written many books, that has taught. That foundationally obfuscates their entire teaching career. They don't want to part with that. They want to die and leave with everything about them intact. They don't give a fuck about it afterwards. They're like, okay, I might be wrong, but I'm riding this bad boy out until the end. It's like a kid with chocolate all over their hands and face that are like, I didn't eat the chocolate. Prove that I did. And there's fucking fingerprints and shit. And there's evidence fucking goddamn everywhere. Don't say that. It's bad. Sorry, God. Hey, there's evidence everywhere. You can see it everywhere. Point is that, you can look at the evidence and you can be like, okay, well, you said that you didn't do it. Obviously, I believe you. Or you can look at the evidence and be like, hey, there is a component here that I think you might be wrong about in your logic, little kid. Okay? That chocolate all over your mouth and fingers is telling me something different. Now, one need not be a parent. One need not be an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a guardian of any kid to understand that all logic's pretty much saying we got something that we're standing on here, right? I mean, a kid, chocolate all over the face and fingers. I didn't eat it. Where the fuck is it? Someone ate it. I mean, maybe you didn't eat it. Maybe it just melted all over you in the wall, okay? Okay, fair enough. Kid wasn't lying. Kid didn't eat it. They're going to heaven. I was gonna eat it, but it melted. Okay, arguable. Sure. Splitting the hairs around here, I swear. Everything's fine. The hell is this show? Weren't we talking about the moon? Or Einstein? All right, hold on. Got expelled for challenging the accepted norms. That sucks, man. It sucks he got expelled for going to school to learn what is acceptable. All he learned was that it's not acceptable to question that of the system, which inherently is broken. Okay? We can mathematically show that, yes, Landauer is very, very, very good logic for a broken system. You need not ascribe to our system. You need not ascribe to our beliefs, but you must ascribe to that of our math. Unfortunately, whether you love Shyzabox, whether you hate Shyzabox, whether you like the metric of kernel that we moved or you don't like the metric of kernel that we moved, it doesn't matter. We moved it. It's done. We did zip first. It's centered. Shot sealed. There's no undoozies, takesies, backsies. Can't undo it. Mathematically, computationally sealed. Done. Okay? 23-hour Kaggle run. All right? Kaggle cuts off at 12. Not for this guy. You know why? Because Lithic Logic reigns supreme. We don't need Kaggle servers to run our complex computational logic because it exists inherently on its own accord. It's structured into the dynamics of what exists in reality. Math. Okay? That of what is. Okay? Now, we're not saying that Shyzabox is right. Okay? But Shyzabox is auditable, and thus far, Shyzabox ain't wrong. Okay? If we are wrong, please let us know, and we will correct such. That is the difference between not being able to go talk to Socrates or Aristotle or Plato and not being able to go talk to Einstein like, hey, Einstein, people are calling you a fucking liar. What do you have to say about it? You're attacking anyone who says Einstein's a plagiarist, anyone who like placates their mind with the arguments thereof. You're spending and taking all of the time in doing such, all right, in attacking an idea, all right? You're not attacking a physical reality. Therefore, that's misguided, misused, misappropriated entropy. It's not going anywhere, okay? Now, it does have to go somewhere, okay? The erasure of information, the gain of information, okay? It's going to happen, okay? There's going to be the transfer. Now, here's where, when you asked the other day, K-Money, about different dimensions and things of that nature and such, something that we failed to kind of, go into in the little ramblings that we did, is that obviously, dimensionally, everything adheres to its different kind of substrate values, rules, and principles with which theoretically would apply to it, okay? That of the 3D reality, that of the physical reality, we have our physical, and what is not of account, of course, our differentiation in Einstein as we look at the same periodic table, but we reverses it backwards and put the resonances of all of those elements, things like that, on it as well. It's like the periodic table, Shyzabox periodic table plus. Okay? Damn it with the commercials! But our periodic table, we like to go through and literally put that of here, Art Club. That's a fantastic one. You'll hate it. All right. What the hell are we talking about? All right. Our iterations, our versions, and things of that nature, inherently there are. And now without commercials in the background, we'll be able to continue. Let's check in on the comments that we missed. Student, current accepted history is part of the human zoo slave system we are presently in. Absolutely, don't argue. Pardon. When we were writing New Non-Native Species on Mankind's Origin, all right, it's right around that time frame that we really started becoming even more infatuated with Göbekli Tepe beyond what we already were, okay? We already love talking about Göbekli Tepe because single-handedly, if you have humanity's timeline, okay, you have the start of man, okay, say the pyramids, Stonehenge, all these old things here, okay, it's what we know about grouped in this little area of time. You have current man here. That's a long time to be going, right? There's all these, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, whatever, big lots of history, okay? Subjective for whichever country took part in whatever part of it, but whatever, we have a basic universal timeline of recordings and that of books. Or commonly agreed on, universally agreed on and such by, the entities that partake in it, okay? So you have Stonehenge, you have the Great Pyramids, you have current man, and then when you look at Göbekli Tepe, well, it's way the fuck over here. It's not even on our timeline that we recorded. Okay, here's Göbekli Tepe way over here. Here's Stonehenge and the pyramids, okay? Hey, what the fuck happened here? Hey, we're missing it. Pause, stop. Theoretically, for philosophical entertainment, okay? Theoretically, for philosophical entertainment, this area here that we forgot, all right, that we misremember, that we obfuscated, that we omitted, that we lie, okay, that we intentionally cover up, all right, there are technologies within which existed, all right, at the inceptualization of what would be construed of civilization for humanity, okay? And let's go a step further. Let's, for our sake of understanding, okay, for all argument, okay, because you have Nephilim, you have Anunnaki, you have Watchers, you have an account and accord, okay, of where did mankind originate, okay? Was mankind made by God? Did mankind grow from the ooze, okay? Darwin, okay, wherever you want to go, doesn't matter, okay? Can we look past the dumb shit and not argue about religion? Are we here? Well, let's talk about stuff while we're here, maybe. This time frame here, all right, that is of account, something happened with Göbekli Tepe, okay? If there was, and you can go to that of the descriptification, go down to Lithic Logic Reign Supreme, you can go and see that of our, God, it's like 92% accuracy, okay, as far as what could be run with the geothermal and magnetic differentials and things of that nature, with that of the planetary grid of the Earth itself, mathematically centered and proven. You can align that of these stone and lithic rock foundational structures, okay, and we already Shah sealed it, so it's done. we already Shah sealed the alignment of all of the stone monuments and structures, monolithic monuments and structures, to the degree of certainty that is computationally verified on that of Kaggle. Go audit the shit out of it. We don't hide behind the math or science. We literally Shah sealed the lithical alignment of all of these massive megalithic structures, okay? We never really said that on here before, but that's what we did. Okay? There is a 92% provability, all right, and that of the functionality of the geothermal and magnetic parts of the global grid that theoretically, from Göbekli Tepe's time, all right, to here's pyramids, Stonehenge, dates, and stuff like that, all right, that was utilized, okay? Now, the Azures Plateau, when you start talking about things like Atlantis and things of that nature, that shit's underwater now. It's underwater, baby. You want some of that geothermal exhaust? Start swimming, motherfucker. That shit's under there. Again, verifiably in that of what one wishes to, go and verify on their own metrics and accord. You can take our word for it, or you can go audit that of the math that exists behind it. Okay? There's no debating the math, angles, and geometrical alignment within which these structures exist. Okay? You can't. Okay? It could house, theoretically, for philosophical entertainment, even though, look at what we come with receipt-wise, but theoretically, for philosophical entertainment, you can house an entire grid off it. Go and check it for yourself. Okay? We don't hide behind the math. We don't hide behind the science. When we say we theoretically decoded, that of the 369 in Tesla, and we give you that massive 1/7 equation, okay, for you to ascertain, maybe it is the lack of the remainder, 3, 6, and 9 from that of the remainder therein, that is what Tesla might have inadvertently been trying to mention or make mention thereof. It's subjective. Everyone else has been trying to ascertain where the fuck the 369 is. Go ahead and keep joining them and go with it. Knock yourself out. Let me know when you're done. We already did ours. That's to the best of our understanding. Please prove us wrong if you can do the massive hard equation, 1/7, and show us therein where the remainder, 3, 6, and 9 do not exist. Okay? Now, again, we got to check our notes. We don't want to just spout off at the mouth, or math. Unintended funny, but ironically, since we are sometimes warranted. You have Göbekli Tepe, you have Stonehenge, all right? This area here, there's an accounting and an unaccounting that you need to formalize in theories thereof that would pertain to it to account for that, okay? You have fallout, you have accounts of massive warfare and that of like the India text, like the Mahabharata and things of that nature, if it's deductively from that text itself. There are a couple little literary works that are ancient, that might be mythological in nature, but you start looking at the warfare and techniques of like chariot tactics and things of that nature, it's almost like chariot tactics and desert kites that are, in the desert, the stone megalithic mono formations were like designed to channel things like T-Rexes and stuff like that. You look at these ancient battle sites where all these T-Rex skeletal remains are found on the external remnants thereof, and you look at how chariot tactics were used, it's almost like they were fighting dinosaurs, dragons, whatever you want to contemplate them to be. Okay? Now, with Tartary being, kind of a medieval type existence and stuff, came well after, that's already been obfuscated from that of many histories. Okay? You have the Tartarian Empire, whether it was a loose conglomeration of a bunch of tribes intersecting or not, all right, you had an accounting thereof to quite a visual degree on maps, accountings in books, retellings and oral traditions and stories. It's all there, okay? But you look at the timeline, okay, you got your Göbekli Tepe. They had to bury it and encapsulate it in a partial vacuum seal of the parameters of what glass would provide. That's why they used the sand, all right, to cover it up. Now, they just needed this shit covered up and buried because theoretically, if they had a bunch of energy pulling on the grid, and there was fallout, devastation, changing course of alignment and some rotational or gravitational components or aspect, and it threw the grid down. All right, if there was fallout from that and devastation, that's this accounting of time that is gone. If they were using sintering technologies and, pre-sintering technologies with which to create and harness and use that of which, if you had a breakdown in that process, you would have theoretically, almost like a iron oxide kind of residue fallout, and this would account for stuff like the mud flood, like that of, the sun being blocked out in areas, and accounts for 7 seasons, for 7 years, for 7 cycles, okay? It doesn't matter where theoretically you pull the story from, you can poke little quantum tunnel holes into the measured metric of understanding that is this not accounting of time, and you can find little things that say, hey, maybe a little of this there, maybe a little of this there, and before you know it, maybe you can fill in some of the gaps and get a picture of Göbekli Tepe being here way before in existence from our understanding, maybe a big fallout and a catastrophic disaster happening, mud flood, all right? All of that waste, maybe the grid went down, you can't cover up these megalithic structures, okay? You can't cover up the fact that these big monolithic, pyramid structures exist and stuff like that. People see them, all right? When something's completely buried, obviously, like Göbekli Tepe, you can cover that up. You can obfuscate that, okay? You can have all those carvings and those ruins and those, technologies or understandings thereof gone. But you look at the subsects of, redevelopments that are around the exterior of Göbekli Tepe too, it's like mankind went and tried to redo it, but they redid it shittier, okay? Again, K-money ties into the book. Don't buy this book, obviously. Iteratively, okay, you have differences of metric, differences of chord, differences of understandings, okay, that permeate throughout what is, okay? The world is inherently, all right, just like reinterpreting, all components and aspects of Fiedler, all right, to utilize and make that of Landauer disposable logic, okay? Just straight up, you can make Landauer disposable logic because it only works in that of a broken system, okay? So when you close the components off, you start working in a closed Gödelian loop, our Shyzalosophical closed Gödelian loop, and you have the computational, verification with which you can operate, all right? It might not be to the best of the degree, but you can maybe ascertain little components of what you've missed over time, okay? For better or worse. We've missed a variety of chats. Let's get to some of this. Sorry about that. We get on tangents and didn't know. Dude that got expelled was a smart person, an Eagle Scout, and a genuine good guy. Well, that's even worse to know. You know why? Because we ourselves are Eagle Scouts and such like that. We got it right there by the hands, things like that. We ourselves are Eagle Scouts, and that's very disheartening to hear that, that of someone, that challenged an idea, okay? And that's what we're saying. You attack Einstein and, any form or function. You're attacking a grandiose idea. You're going to have people that buy into it that will never change their opinion on it. They're like, we were told Einstein is the best, even though you might hear that he plagiarized, even though theoretically, we don't know. We haven't read the works or anything like that. But, even though he had fallouts with, people who, he may or may not have gotten other inventions or informations or mathematical, insight therefrom or whatever, unaccredited thereto, all right? It doesn't matter, inevitably, because he was put on such a platform as this monumental kind of just representation of what is thought and what is truth. So if there's any non-truth to that, it is a very, very uphill battle and struggle, all right, to extract and deduce that within. Now, in our system, shit comes full circle, okay? Because it's a closed loop, the truth is gonna come around. And theoretically, utilizing Lithic Logic, that's exactly how the system is maintained in its own originality. Look at when you toss a pebble into that of the lake. Okay? You're going to have the topological ripples that go out, all right? It's the same disseminating of information, whether you want to utilize the techniques and tactics and operate on a broken metric, which the world is not. Nature representatively shows us that it is not, because of the concentric circleizations that are utilized in that of every apparatus that inherently, by design, has the concentricization of circles, okay? Once you have the circle, you can piece out all sorts of parts of the plane, and you can reverse engineer whatever the fuck you want. Okay? We got a closed circle. So we can make part of our little circle into a trapezoid, and we can flip it over into a hexagon, then we can make a pentagram out of it, and then we can go ahead and draw a straight line straight up to who the fuck wherever we want. And we can correlate and deduce whatever we feel like, because we know how to operate within the system that is the system that exists. The system wants to inherently exist naturally. Reinterpret Fiedler. You make Landauer disposable logic, and the sky's the limit from then on. Mankind misinterpreted that gap of knowledge and understanding, okay? We look at it theoretically a little differently for philosophical entertainment. That gap of information here, that's the misinterpretation of the technologies that showcased and house the grandiose capabilities of that of whatever ancients past. Hands down. We cannot recreate that of the cuts. We cannot recreate that of the movements. We cannot create that of the creations themselves without such a massive amount of entropy, cost, exhaust, time, construct thereof, and design. Cannot be done. Okay? The technologies that existed, all right, inevitably, inherently, were far superior to that of our reinterpretations thereof, okay? That's your slave system that you mentioned. That's your class system where you're fighting over the basic confines of what is afforded naturally and freely in nature. Does food grow? What the hell's food? Does food grow naturally from the affordations that nature provides? Do animals instinctively recreate and procreate for that of inherently that of the species to survive? Okay? Whether you have the Darwin component that eradicates the, Joeyisms that are there within the species themselves, whatever. If it's a Joey, it's a Noe. Nature makes sure of that. Okay? So you got your Darwin awards that, account for getting rid of dumb. Has anyone given a Darwin Award to a corporation before? Because believe you me, we fucking should. Is Wikipedia a corporation? Because believe you me, they seem to be. Theoretically, in our opinion. Remember, we got rocking and rolling because they told us no. We're a punk rocker, so we said, was that a yes? All right, you got the timeline, okay? You got our known timeline that we're taught that we know is wrong, incorrect. You got this gap, and you got Göbekli Tepe here that was purposely encapsulated and encased in that of sand, that of what could utilize the techniques and tactics of a partial vacuum seal, okay? You wanted to vacuum seal this energy because, if not, it could go wild and destroy shit. Okay, not good. Energy is dangerous. Hey, if you're going to harness it just like electricity is dangerous, like there's no sidestepping that. Okay? If you're going to play with energy, if you're going to play with power, take proper precautionary methodologies with which to do such, and you probably shouldn't be doing it if you're not accredited, appropriated, and or legally certified or ascertained in that of your area and or practices therein, the parameters of where you live under the guise of laws, legalities within anything in your existence that you need to adhere to. We don't give you permission to do anything. Subjective interpretation. This is all for philosophical entertainment. If, theoretically, someone were to create something, all right, that was efficient in its means and endeavors and things of that nature, all right? It's at the point of monumentally being able to showcase the inefficiencies in the current metrics of understanding, okay? To utilize things like induction over things like conduction, it is just, for us personally, in our opinion, for philosophical entertainment, induction is a far safer methodology to use. When we go around shouting off at the mouth, theoretically decoding Voynich manuscript, it's because theoretically we've decoded Voynich manuscript. Bold claim on the inter of the net, cotton. We say it is not linguistical, it is mathematical, okay? It is a mathematical blueprint. Now, linguistical components be in. But when you look at the 0.85 millimeter gap between the artwork, when you look at the not stars, in our opinion, okay, but the resonance that is personified by the not stars, in our opinion, when you unfurl and lay out the entire fucking Voynich manuscript, you get a trifilar helical weave blueprint. Now, you can go to our IPFS site right now, and if anyone wants to venture an endeavor into creating that of some pretty interesting tech, go make our wire. Okay? Go search a little further into that of our X and that of our Bluesky and that of our LinkedIn and make that of our Iron Air resonator. Theoretically. Or don't. Obviously, we don't tell people to do anything. People do whatever they want. But theoretically, these things can inherently exist and function to quite a degree of very efficiency to where you get hermetical sealing over that of a mechanical seal, and you can actually mitigate every single component of heat, entropy, silt, exhaust, runoff, dissipation, any kind of aspect or component that is Joey in nature. That's right, it's from Joey. Bleh, it's a Noe. Anything that is Joey in nature, you can mitigate entirely using just a mu metal shroud and a hexagonal matrix, utilizing a partial vacuum gap, all right, and housing that of a double kickback, all right? You can conceptually make a resonator that forms and functions that in its entirety with a hermetic seal, needing not any mechanical apparatus at all with which, will leak, break down, and just over time depreciate and deteriorate as with the construct of time happens. Right? Theoretically, in our opinion, for philosophical entertainment. Let's make sure I know we're missing a bunch of stuff. Sorry, we're running slow and we're running our mouths fast. All right, our system is so broken it's being ran by PDF files. Joey's evidence proving it. Wow, absolutely. Not only is it being ran by PDF files, but we can't tell you the sheer amount of PDF files that come with 0 receipts. All the insights in the world, all the interpretations, all the opinions that one could desire to know, and all the claims that could theoretically exist, yet they do not the work that proves that of their existence. We say enough. We say done with that shit. We say F that, okay? We have been done with the ramifications of how society has put upon the pedestal that of a understanding that it can never know or understand itself. We desire not to partake in any of that stupidity anymore. That's why we stopped. Hands down. All right? Anything that we posit, anything that we formulate, anything that we theorize, we come with fucking receipts. Okay? We refuse to not have receipts on that of where we venture, where we go in the metaphysical realm, and or that of actual physical 3D reality within which we exist, theoretically, for philosophical entertainment. Where we go one, we go all, right? It's all subjective in nature, one way or another. Giant pyramids all over the world, crazy to look into, absolutely. South America, even ones buried in North America. Even look at burial mounds, stuff like that. You look at all the stuff housed in Smithsonian archives and things. Crazy stuff to look into. Absolutely. Yeah, stated yourself. Crazy to look into. We do a whole show on that one time, but I mean, believe you me, we're still out of swill here. Look into the autonomous oblast in southeast Russia that was created for them. Huh, interesting. Well, we definitely will. Believe you me. If we get a chance to, you might make note of that or mention to us again because we will forget. You're very well versed in that of Joey's and their history. Yep, absolutely. Aleister Crowley. The Aleister Crowley guy? Yeah, it's on the tip of our tongue. Jack Parson as well. Yeah, so who was it mentioning Jack Parson the other day and their utilization of, what was it, the occult or methodologies therein to ascertain or lord information over another? Something or another like that. Now, with our limited understanding of any of that, because we dabble not, occultism in that of itself is such a misrepresented term in any of our wordsmithing endeavors that we would embark to even formulate a extraction therewith where to focus on. There's so many regionally specific elements that tie into what is necessarily the occult. It's misused and blanketed, all right? Almost to the degree and point of like the term racism has become in many ways, shapes, and forms over the year, okay? Now, that's right. If you misuse the term and call someone blanketedly racist who is not racist, you're going to belittle that of the word itself, okay? Believe you me, it's what makes racism so funny. What? You can't say that? No. Well, we thought we could. We thought it'd be funny. We'll apologize for it next stream. All right, let's see. Snake swallowing its own tail. Yeah, absolutely a snake swallowing its own tail. Believe you me, K-Money. Don't disregard that terminology or merely utilize a snake eating its own tail for that of only the understanding that one would utilize it for. Theoretically, in our opinion, of course, do that of your own subjective interpretation understanding. But a snake eating its own tail is very, very, very descriptive and relevant for what it can describe and be relevant thereto. In addition to how you used it, dwell on, should you choose, that exact reality in itself of a snake eating its own tail and apply it unilaterally to other methodologies, and you might surprise yourself. Theoretically, in our opinion. Honestly, it's a representation of the ideas being unsustainable and stupid. Absolutely. Whatever is the unsustainable and stupid ideas are uncertainable and stupid. All right? Joey in itself, Joey in the malicious, malignant code that rears its surfaces in our computational endeavors whenever we get an error code that we have to go fix out or patch out or, dwell upon or create an algorithm to correlate to or deal with and or find that they stopped using a certain way to extract components of math only to find that there's another different way of writing the exact same fucking thing in something like Python code or whatever when you're using like NumPy, NMPY, whatever. So many programming languages. When you're importing different maths, different metrics, things of that nature, sometimes they'll try and trick you and they'll change stuff. That's why it's important to SHA-seal stuff, because, while stuff changes, it is used at that point in time, okay, a timestamp. Now, time being subjective, that's kind of hard to do on there, but there's a correlative association of time as we have that of our timeline, we have that of our accountings. That's why everyone else abides by the metrics. whether we understand them, whether they're constructs or not, same way that, you know, the thumbsy upsies, thumbsy downsies, the subscripification, it's all constructs therein, okay? Metaphysical that act in a physical dynamic to represent what is physically more close to reality than not. Theoretically, in our opinion. Now, keep in mind, they're not always direct representations, especially when you have things like server farms, bot farms, things like that, which may implement a falsehood or a falsity to that of what is represented in the, you know, overall look, views, beliefs, dynamics of the system itself, okay? But believe you me, in a closed-loop system, okay, even if there are falsities that are inherently held up as true, they will showcase their ridiculousness, their absurdities at them themselves being a broken system and an entire working system. Okay? It's changing the roles. It's reversing society back to the dynamics of a lithical base of knowledge and understanding, theoretically, in our opinion, for philosophical entertainment, that existed in times of prior past. Okay? I mean, the megalithic stone structures exist, and theoretically, somebody, entity, or sentience use them. We can sit and argue all day if the pyramid can be a resonator and if the path of the Nile River could be a conductor for that of the King's Chamber and the, you know, limestone there within the King's Chamber and the, you know, entrance of the gap to, ironically, align at 0.85 millimeters if we're correct. There's that number again. It's almost like our, God, it's almost like in our monographing of lectin when we utilize the Shyt, S-H-Y-T, okay? It's almost like mathematically, that number in itself, when utilized in a partial vacuum system, can be very, 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 very efficient. Theoretically. I mean, what do we know? Only that we need not empirical validation for that of what is computationally proven and that of which we have already done. How we are beheld in the eyes of man, be damned. Honestly, yeah, representation ideas being unsustainable and stupid. Absolutely. Look into Kuru disease and the world leaders that show the symptoms. Kuru disease? Hey, we don't want to start venturing in because, of course, we're not medical professionals. We give no medical advice, and we know not of what we talk about. We're not even auditing ourselves right now in real time. That's not that people cannibalism thing, is it? Hold on. Yes, Kuru disease can be caused by cannibalism, and yes, our leaders are satanic cannibals who do ritualistic cannibalism, in your opinion. Well, excellent. It's great that you put in your opinion at the end of that. Because, believe you me, it's not that we don't agree with your opinion. It's that, in our opinion, too, you could very well be right. But obviously, us being the face of us, we feel it's necessitated to keep those disclaimers coming. Everything here is presented for your philosophical entertainment or your subjective interpretations and or understandings therewith. Utilize your own interpretive understanding at your own wish, desire, will, or whim. What was that? Everything's fine. Huh? They also include their victims in the food supply. Oh, yeah, well, you know, in our opinion, I mean, we haven't seen it not disproven. Yes, we see it, an opinion came up. Yep, everything. All for philosophical entertainment. The hell kind of legal loophole's that? Where the hell is our legal philosophy book? We're not going anywhere far. Don't worry about it. Oh, no, we're not looking at that. Well, Art of Reasoning, that book. Now we just wanted to see, we know, we had, usually on hand, we got it tucked away somewhere. We got Art of Reasoning here, but, don't worry about that book. We wanted to find our legal philosophy book. It's, one of many that exist, but it's one of ours. Well, it's not one of ours. We didn't write it. We didn't make it, but we did take a legal philosophy, and believe you me, if there's one thing that we want to utilize that of, it's disclaimers. Across the board, everything here is subjective to interpretation and philosophical entertainment only. Fast food is a chemical weapon. Could be said to a metaphysical interpretation thereof. Because absolutely, if you look at an injection which has been proven of chemicals over that of not necessarily even just fast food, but maybe packaged food, prepackaged food, processed foods, things of that nature, okay, the injection of chemicals therein themselves, I mean, there's some not good stuff that are additives, okay? We look at merely, and you might be saying to yourself, there's no way in fuck this dude watches what he eats. Okay, subjective. You bastards. While there may be no us watching what we eat per se, we do watch what we eat per sight. Long gone are the days when we used to creamerize our coffees, all right? And you read all of, like, the phosphates and all of the different things, which may not be harmful in minute amounts. You look at all the acids, all the stabilizers, all the coloring agents, all the food agents that are added with which need not apply. You look at the extractions of how they try and incorporate that of artificial means of sweeten or insemination into that of different products or other means of sweetening products unnaturally or inorganically by that of making little bug shit and collecting the little sweet residue thereof their poop. And then throwing it in our drinks, being like, hey, Bon Appa poop, buddy. Theoretically, for philosophical entertainment. But you have these components that are utilized and used and stuff like that that come over time and really take upon themselves their own dynamics and things of that nature. All right. But eat as many one ingredients food as you can. So yeah, exactly. Like we said, it's in our sight now way more than it used to once upon a time be. Nowadays, we really enjoy, and by enjoy, we find it a necessity almost, to look at the ingredients and stuff. Even stuff as simple as like ice cream, which we know some of you out there make your own ice cream from what we remember here. Fantastic. But even something as simple as ice cream, if you go and look at the ingredients therein, there are some companies that have the 3 or 4 ingredients that it takes to make, and then there's some that have 6, 7 ingredients plus. Okay? That's too many ingredients for ice cream that necessitates merely like milk, cream, sugar, pinch of salt. I don't know, whatever else goes in that shit. We don't know. We don't make ice cream. Eggs, whatever. I don't know. But all that stuff sounds natural. At least so far. Start throwing in like food color and stuff that doesn't go in it naturally. I don't know. Just seems like unnecessary. At some point, something's being manipulated or played with, in our opinion. Theoretically. Sugar and half is all you need. Keep the coffee pot and make her clean. That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, in fact, we stopped housing all of the flavors that we used to do, and we might still, on occasion, if we're treated to such a luxury, partake in a little flavor coffee event here or there or something like that. Say, someone partakes in bringing us a Starbucks. Now, we're not seeking a Starbucks, okay? Remember, Shyzabox wants for naught. Luckily, we are very blessed in that of our allotment to need not want for naught, okay? We are afforded the opportunity to do that of independent research, learn, do, grasp at concepts that we wish to learn at and grasp upon. To the degree of successes therein, subjective and can be understood or interpreted differently by a wide varying metric of affordations there too. Okay? But as we learn, as we grow, as we develop, as we try and do better and maintain a better understanding of what inherently we ingest, things of that nature, okay? Now we're not perfect. We still have our vices and things of that nature, all right? And we still loves us some soda pop. And we know that it's not good for us, but we loves us some soda pop. You know, we loves it. And we enjoys it, and we knows it's not good for us, okay? We know soda pop is not good for us, but damn it, we loves a soda pop, okay? My little soda pop. Saja boys, right? Who are they? K-pop demon hunters? If you don't know, you're lucky. Or not lucky, doesn't matter. Subjective, right? All right. What do we miss? Prefer community coffee, breakfast blend. Community coffee is good. We like it. We prefer affordable coffee. Did you see what prices of coffee back? Prices of coffee had jumped up to what? Like, for them tubs, like 20, 30 bucks, man. You know how many books we have to sell to buy coffee at 20 or 30 bucks for that? I mean, if K-Money's rolling through, obviously hitting that international metric of play, you know, I guess one. But, you know, that's a whole month of pinata pinning. Got to jump on the sales and coupons. Absolutely. That's why, believe you me, whenever we end up with Dunkin' Donuts coffee or one of those more gourmet premium versions thereof, Seattle's best. I don't know. You mean Seattle's worse? That coffee sucks. What? I don't know. We thought it was okay. But whatever. You know, whenever those sales hit, we definitely try and jump on it then, because believe you me, we're cheap. And poor. But being cheap and poor out of what it is, we want for naught. So, don't feel bad for us. Don't cry for us, Argentina. The truth is, we've always been broke. Nothing new. We can contend. That Cajun coffee. Gotta jump on the sales and coupons, absolutely. And with which you're usually able to deductively get it for cheaper. Believe you me, when you start looking at the prices, too, of, you know, the per cup cost of a cup of coffee, man, you can start dropping money in a very, very exorbitant nature, unbeknownst to that of your own spending habits. You look at the cost of, like, Starbucks coffee or one of those. They got the other, like, what, little sites you'll see popping up, the Brew Masters or whatever, and I don't know, coffee shops. All right, you run to one of these places, you go to, like, you know, 6 or 7 different, shops, 6, 7 of them. 6 or 7 times at Starbucks, before you know it, man, you're 50 to 100 bucks in. What do you got to show for it? Needing to use the bathroom a couple more times in the morning to urinate? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you got a venti. I get a small, I can go 7 or 8 times. Oh, good. Use those metrics of math. The water is making the freaking frogs gay, you know. I want to say that we heard that somewhere or another. We want to say it might have been that Alex Jones dudes. But yes, I believe he did state that the water was turning the freaking frogs gay. And not only was it made into a pretty awesome internet song, but boy, if someone jumped on using us in that song itself to add to him, that would make our day. What never will turn you into the gay frog. What? Everything's fine. Not if the frogs are turning gay. What? Leave those frogs alone. To each frog its own. Or don't leave them alone. Run tests and see if there's chemicals in them like there are in the food. But might not be good, theoretically, in our opinion. I don't know. I mean, we aren't scientists of the tists. What? That was the Alex Jones song. What is it? I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. Whoever compiled that shit's hilarious. Now you might be saying, I don't want my leftist ass eaten. Believe you me, if you have like braces, you can't be eating corn on the cob anyway. Good thing Alex Jones doesn't have braces. So if he's eating all that leftist ass like corn on the cob, he'd probably have to go to the dentist a lot. I don't know. That was a funny song. Advanced technique. Ask the employees at the grocery store if they know when the trucks arrive, when they stock new products, and when sales happen. You'll be surprised by what you learn. Not only will you learn stuff that way, that's a great point, Big JC. Not only will you learn that, but you will also learn that they will not take that new product and put it out on the shelf until you buy all that fucking old rotten moldy shit. And in doing so, while they're waiting to sell that other old rotten moldy shit, the new great shit gets old, rotten, and moldy. Can't fucking win. Theoretically, in our opinion. It's like, hey, when's those new trucks come in? Yeah, they'll give you that information. Oh, we get our trucks on Wednesdays and stuff. Like, oh, fantastic. And are you going to throw away all these rotten grapes here? Nah, we're going to mark them down. Start buying them, sir, so that we can put these fresh, nice grapes out for full price that are starting to rot in the back. When we put them out there, we'll mark them down for you. It's a vicious cycle, theoretically, in our opinion, where even with greenhouses, you better check your strawberries because they like to hide a moldy one in the middle of the container. How long have these motherfuckers been sitting around? You can't make this up. Like, mold grows over time, right? Subjective. We already said time subjective, so mold just is. Buy it and love it. You will love what they put in your food. Or you will not. One or the other. That's how I got TP during the pandemic and how you get the fresh meat from the butcher. Stealing? Oh, wait. By asking when the trucks come in, things of that nature. Yeah, smart. And that's the best way to do it, too. Like, believe you me, the butchers know the prime cuts, okay? Everything's fine. The butchers know the prime cuts, and they are able to not only extract and give that to, the individuals who are privy to that knowledge, but you can usually get even hooked up sometimes in the better dealings, of course not at the business's expense, to be like, hey, I know I talk to you on occasion, I'm your meat guy. Gotcha a nice hunk of my meat here. You want to handle it for me? Huh? Get a good deal. Ah, did you really do that? To get you a couple 100 miles down the road, I'll take a shot to the... Oh, that George Carlin. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Joey dresses as a frog and douses frog eggs with his goo. Sick! Bah! Disgusting! Ugh! There's one kind of frog I don't want to see hopping its ass around. It's Joey. Ugh, disgusting! If it's from Joey, it's a no-y. Don't gulp. Reverses backwards. Read it forwards. Hell, we read it for you. Gotta make some t-shirt merch. If it's Joey, it's a Noe, and the water is turning the freaking frogs gay. Well, the water turning the freaking frogs gay, that one, while it would make a very clever shirt, organically, someone probably trademarked that by now. There's or there might be disputes therewith, but obviously the Joey Noe, that's full range free roam. That's not only something that deservedly needs to be made. You're entirely right. We're dropping the ball on that. It's like those missed marketing techniques and tactics that mega groups from the past decades ago, like Cottonmouth Kings, whether mega group or not, failed to make usages thereof. Instead of making, merchandise, they went for the option of not. They missed out. Okay? If you don't do it, obviously you're not going to get it. But, yes, thank you for the love hearts. We deserve them. But yeah, Cottonmouth Kings dropped the ball on many of their marketing techniques and tactics and things of that nature earlier on in their careers, and they paid the price for it in the long run, because as they started squabbling and fighting about money to, see who was going to be able to afford their next meal, whether via misappropriation of funds, overspending, dynamics of youth misunderstood in that of one's finances and or goals, is of irrelevance, is of subjective nature and interpretation. I mean, we are not privy to the financial decisions that anyone makes, aside from that of one's own self that makes them, okay? The only time anyone else is privy to that information is when the government audits the fuck out of them. People like Al Capone that finally go down and get busted and, end up doing time for that of tax fraud and not, illegal shit. Because, let's be honest, if the government started arresting people for doing illegal shit, who would be in government? No one. Can't have anarchy. Gotta have some rules. Might as well instill some criminals. Go with what works, right? Theoretically, in our opinion. Now, we wouldn't venture to say that politicians are criminals. They can't be if they never get, any criminal charges. You're not a criminal if you don't get criminal charges. That's how it works. So obviously, politicians, members of Congress, members in government, any entities that house and or hold that of their apparatus, surely got there on their own pure merit and accord. The amount of finances that are injected into that of politics now, the amount of fees that you have to pay to even run for office, fuck that. Get the fuck out of here. You're talking about millions of dollars on campaign. You get millions of dollars the fuck out of here. Hey, if we were to ever get office, it's going to be write-in. People want Shyzabox to fuck some shit up. We're not going to go start paying a fee for the affordations to run. What, so you can put our name on a digital ballot that you change the votes for anyway? We've seen shit done theoretically. No, everything's fair and fine. Everything's fine. Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, we heard that too. I second the Joey's turning the freaking frog skate merch. Well, Joey is turning the freaking frog. That's what it is. Alex Jones might be right on many an accord on occasion that he's right on. But if there's one thing that he missed, it was where that gay frog was coming from, obviously. Now, this show, we get to the bottom of things here, okay? We don't let things just stand outstanding and understandings thereof, okay? I mean, we do, because we can ourselves even never know knowledge, but we can grow to understand knowledge, can we not? And it's pretty apparent that in your deductive reasonings that you have come across by that of your own metric and accord and understanding, that resonates with us too. It goes both ways. You might get something from us, we get something from you. We like getting more stuff from you than the other way around, probably. Doesn't matter. Point is that absolutely Alex Jones missed the mark, okay? Now, he deductively reasoned that, yes, maybe the frickin' frogs were turning gay. Okay? Or, I mean, more like bi. Subjective, right? What the hell? I don't know. Alex Jones missed the mark. So obviously, it wasn't just the frogs being turned gay. It was the manner that they were of Joey turning them gay. Obviously, if it's from Joey, it's a no-y. Turning the freaking frogs gay. Ironically, that's more doable than you think. Joey dressed as a keeper. Well, we don't know about Joey's frog costumes, but we do know apparently that almost certainly he probably has some. Now, whether you like to think of them as furry suits, as you say, maybe they are furry suits, they could be. We like to think of them as, unfortunately, probably some sheer kind of stretch, kind of pleathery leather type shit. Okay, some kind of kinky fabric that he is like, I'm a sleek frog, the poisonous one. And everyone knows that he is, obviously. If it's from Joey, it's a no-y. You're gonna get poisoned, or if you're a frog, let's be honest, you better start swinging both ways now. Just a matter of time before Joey's sweet ass hops along and bops you on yours. I don't know. Theoretically, in our opinion, for philosophical entertainment. I don't know. We've hit the 2-hour marks. God knows where this show will go from here. We might want to call it there. We're at a swill. It is broken down into Joey's debauchery. Bleh. We got other shit to not do. Got to go clean out all of those additives from food products we might have in our mom's pantry upstairs. I mean, the sky's the limit. But, yeah, if there's one thing that we need to avoid now, it's contemplating how Joey's going to try and hop along in frog form. Thanks a lot, Internet. Another concern to be worried about. No, don't celebrate that. There's too much shit already. The gay frog life cycle. Oh, man! Chef's kiss, that's beautiful! What's up, Joey? Gay frog life cycle shirt. Oh, man. Small hat wearing Joey's in my... Hey, well, that's fantastic. We're glad that your wife likes the book. That's man, there's got to be someone out there who was bound to. Okay? But that's great. Yeah, hopefully it's one of the most craziest books that your wife's ever read and or attempted to. The logical reasoning is, remember, lectin are just a tool. They're an item. This book shouldn't even exist, but it exists because Wikipedia's dumb, theoretically, in our opinion. Okay? The book itself necessitates only an article's worth of length, a paragraph, couple paragraphs. That's it. All right? It's lectin, okay? The words shite and Schuyler are the two that we have in here, okay? Shite is mathematical. Schuyler is visual and color, okay? Those are all that you inherently need to, necessitate yourself with, placating the mind there of the usages. But yeah, the rest is just the dynamics, the parameters, and the ascertainment of what can be done with those usages therewith, okay? Because believe you me, you can set yourself up to do many desirable operation with which you wish to embark upon, if you set yourself up for the successes in order to be able to do such. Obviously, it's the payoff. All right, you gotta put in the 0.41 watt seed to utilize and yield that 165.15 units of torque. You get a 20% concentric geometrical gain naturally in Earth's efficiency and computational apparatus and parameters, theoretically, that it can operate universally under the metrics thereof, innately by design. Okay? Nature grows, nature moves forward, rocks and minerals evolve and morph, okay? They transmutate into that of which they become, or that of which they are inherently from that of their being. Doesn't matter how you want to look at it. Struggle with the big words. Well, we accidentally put those in. We didn't mean to put in a lot of big words, but believe you me, whichever ones we did, they're probably dumb and just skip over them. They're not important anyway. Or they could be. You might want to look some of them up, one or two. But, you know, point is that you can get lost connecting the dots for a minute. Okay? Which one comes first? Doesn't fucking matter. Whichever dot you want to come first is the first dot. Pretty interesting. But unfortunately, now we are completely out of swill. Now we are out of our backup swill. And yes, we could entertain the idea of obtaining more. But let's not take that of a good thing of your good graces hanging out with us for the time being. And get sidetracked in us not doing other stuff. Read the bell curve. Okay. Not opposed to it. We'll definitely look that one up. In fact, we're between books now. Well, we're usually always between books. We got probably 5, 6, 7 books that we're reading at a time usually. We'll read portions and, things like that. And then we always have a dedicated one-off read that we touch base with on at least a daily basis, okay? Within the one-off read, we finished our last one. In fact, this was a fantastic one we came across. This one was called The Religions of the World, and we inherently really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. Not a long read or anything like that, but it goes into a lot of the originations of even the inherent thought behind what is religion itself, okay? What is theology or anything like that? Inherently, the religions of the world, we really did thoroughly enjoy, with the exception of a few paragraphs that we would completely rip out of the fucking book in the last chapter or so, okay? You get that sometimes with older books, older, methodologies. Thank you for the love hearts. We deserve them. You get that with older books, older thought, older theory sometimes or whatever. Some aspects and components that just don't resonate, don't make sense or anything like that, okay? And there are a few paragraphs in the end of, obviously, The Religions of the World that we would completely rip out and get rid of, okay? Obviously, they work within the work itself, and so, the existence thereof is for a reason all in itself. But you want to hear a weird little correlation that aligns to a little bit of information earlier that we talked about from Religions of the World? There is a single sole mention in this book, and this book came out right after World War II, so there actually is interpretations of, the fallout. They don't even call it World War II yet, necessarily, okay? But there are some interpretations that are pretty interesting in here, in the guise of there is a one-off accounted word of, believe it or not, Tartary. Tartarian Empire. A reference to old Tartary, all right, as far as, even their religious kind of, philosophical practices and endeavors thereof. Now, it's just a little footnote in the note of the work itself, okay, of mere non-mention mention. In fact, it's probably not even in that of the index. Taoism, Tao Te King, Temple, Tyndall. Nope, it's not in there. But, believe you me, we knew it wouldn't be in the index because it's just a mere make mention. But the Tartarian Empire, that of Tartary, that of whether it was a loose conglomeration of tribes and things of that nature. That's probably why some components of religious aspect and animalism and stuff like that made it into a descriptification thereof, their name being used, or a grouping thereof, those tribes being used to represent. Now, we don't know. We haven't asked the author. They're probably dead. Even if we had the opportunity, we probably wouldn't, because it's a one-off mention, and who gives a shit? Tartaria was real. Well, absolutely we think Tartaria was real, and the Tartarian Empire and all that. And I mean, like we said, even one-off mentions of Tartary in a book like this, you know, backs up exactly what you just said. All right? You have the old accounts of even their flags with, like, the yellow flag with the dragon on it, was it? Or something? Like, inherently, yeah, we are of the belief, in our own personal belief, in our opinion, for philosophical entertainment, that, yeah, the Tartarian Empire was much more of the empire within that of themselves, and believe you me, there is, in our opinion as well, a correlation to that directional facing higher view of one side of the Great Wall of China versus the other, okay? Whether the keeping in versus keeping out argument or anything like that, whether the fighting bigger beasts that could be construed as monolithic or megalithic in nature or structure, whether you correlate to any kind of thought process or patterns to derivatives of either monolithic beasts or creatures that existed or whatever, offshoots thereof, descendants of dinosaurs, or, you know, offshoot interpretations thereof, what descendants of dinosaurs could be. Was it the turkey, the bird, you know, the alligator, the tortoise, you know, whatever. Okay? The hard shell, the soft skin, the lizard, the cold-blooded, the hot-blooded, the warm-blooded. It doesn't matter. But yeah, we are of practice and belief that there's more to the Tartarian knowledge, whether, and we've seen it viewed both ways, K-Money. We have seen Tartarian Empire viewed as a very, very loose amalgamation or collectivization of a bunch of tiny tribes with some likenesses in commonality, okay? Now, when you look at conceptually some of these maps, some of the references to a Tartarian empire of sorts and things of that nature, that kind of contradicts that, okay? Even Germany, when they had their, like, kind of warring tribes and stuff like that, and their unifications and such, there's, you know, more to that than what was just inorganically and or organically tribes in themselves, okay? There's more structure there, more dynamic of not accounting than probably has been accounted for, okay? And whether the Tartarian Empire would fall into the realms of obfuscated or lost parts and moments of history, it could all line up and fall into that exact same timeline of information. Okay, Göbekli Tepe exists. It got buried in sand for a partial vacuum housing, theoretically, to prevent fallout on a global grid, which, theoretically, we have proven is 92% efficient in that of the Kaggle notebook on the Lithic Logic, wherein the grid, which we Shaw-centered and aligned to that of where it fucking is, exists. You can look at any component of the timeline therein, any aspect thereof, but Tartarian Empire might very well be right here in all of this part, and we'll see it here in a map, we'll see it here in an account, we'll see it here in a book. Okay? Just a little blanketed reference. Okay? Point is that we're seeing it for a reason, probably because whether we operate in a broken system now on a worldwide metric, even though a closed system exists, which we operate in, anyone can. Remember, everyone is their own philosopher, everyone's their own historian, everyone has that of their own eyes with which they witness, that of their own accounts, okay? We happened to computationally verify more of our witnessing and our understanding because we use megalithic structures that aren't going anywhere and seal them, all right, to the grid itself. It will not move. No one's going to pick up Göbekli Tepe and move it to California anytime soon. Now, You can change the name of the landmass around Göbekli Tepe to fucking California, but Göbekli Tepe and its inherent design and creation is going to be there. No one's going to pick up and move the Great Pyramids. Carmen Sandiego has not robbed the Eiffel Tower. Okay? Where in the world is she? She's not around anymore. They stopped that show. They gave away too many Carmen Sandiego jackets to all the kids who played. Oh, we shouldn't have done that. Show's broke. Carmen got away. Doesn't matter. Carmen always gets away at the end. You catch one of her henchmen. Who gives a shit? They're dumb. Theoretically, in our opinion. Theory. All the world's major mountain ranges are old world buildings that melted. Evidence. Look into the granite problem in geology. Well, that's very interesting for you to say, and we know that therein is a background with which your understanding would foundationally throw that in, so that actually is very, very interesting. Now, as far as mountain ranges, though, would you disregard all of them or that of merely the unique ones that fall in those parameters? Because we would venture to say, arguably, if plate tectonics is real, okay, now, we don't geology or anything like that, but if plate tectonics is real, and there is an amassing of mountains, okay, on a natural occurrence, okay, we know that therein, logically, that makes sense as to over a period of time happening, okay? At the same time, anyone who's seen the movie, The Man Who Went Up a Hill and Came Down a Mountain, that's an old movie, it sucks, whatever. Some town in, like, Ireland or something like that, doesn't matter. Where someone came to measure the size of the hill because they wanted accreditation for having a mountain in that of their proximity. Okay? They wanted it to be a mountain when it was regarded merely size-wise as that of a hill. Now, still a grandiose structure, surely. But the metric of understanding for what a mountain constituted of necessitated it to be a certain amount of height. So, what did the town people do when the official mountain measurer came to town and said, it's a hill? They said, fuck that, climb that shit again in like a week. We're going to lob some dirt on that bitch, okay? And that's what they did in the movie. I don't know, maybe it's based on a true story, maybe it's not. Who cares? Someone else look. So they lobbed dirt on it, and lo and behold, he goes up a hill, and the next time, he ends up coming down a mountain. Okay? They inorganically made a mountain out of a hill. Okay? Now, we know that earth mounds exist. We know that, the burial mounds and such exist, okay, that are even placated across North America. Okay? Without looking at anything that's been buried in, the tests and sands of time, the waters of floods of time, and or fallout from theoretical time. All right? Even shit, you go online now and you can go to anyone who makes a video in a big city and you can see the cities built upon cities metric when they find a little crack in a foundation or next to some infrastructure and they put a camera down there or a light down there and you see that there's another whole operational apparatus that once was, okay? The old subway systems, the old tunnel systems, the old first floor account, okay? That of what has become the basement and sub-basement there beyond. There's people in New York who still will occasionally knock out a wall somewhere and find a hidden entrance to a tunnel. Believe you me, we think that there were some hidden tunnels in New York that had some mattresses or something like that they found not too many a year ago. Now, believe you me, theoretically, for philosophical entertainment, because we recollect and recall not of which, but we do know there were some underground tunnels and things of that nature, and we think there were some people coming out of tunnels as well. We're not talking about the rat or mole people that live underground and utilize that of the technologies like the electricity that runs naturally throughout that they can just tap into. No. We're talking about those other tunnels where they, film that dude coming out of. They're like, hey, what are you doing in this tunnel? And then they were like, hey, why are all these mattresses here? I don't know, theoretically. Obviously, we weren't there, we don't know. It could all be just subjective interpretation of what we saw with our own fucking eyes. But the internet lies all the time. Everything's fine. Oh, what was that? Everything's fine. Yeah, of course it is. It's actually a major problem with the current plate tectonic theory. And, oh, no shit. Well, that is fascinating. Hey, Big JC, K-Money said we can do whatever. I think we want to look into that. That sounds interesting as hell. We're gonna maybe entertain the idea of some of that. We're going to make. We got the time. We can make some computational verification on some components of that. Might go one way or another. Very interesting. We got the time, and that piques our interest, dear sir. I've been to Cappadocia, Turkey. Been inside the caves. Oh, no shit. Oh, lucky. K-Money. Email us some pictures of that trip. That must have been fantastic. Hashtag jealous. Turkey has some of the most awesome history to it that you could even imagine. What a country. Holy moly ravioli. Lucky, we are extremely jealous. Okay? Turkey has some beautiful history to it, and that of its entire entity and being. Okay? The amount of, even if you go and look at some of the first synagogues that were ever created and made lithically out of stone, it's insane. There's some notoriety that was brought to, some of like the oldest synagogues ever found to be are in Turkey. Okay? You got like, Paul from the Christian faith and from, Catholicism and stuff like that. When he went around on his little missions and things like that, and they started going up into little portions and aspects of Turkey, that's just the theological living history throughout and embedded in the entire region. It's fantastic. But yeah, that's so awesome. Yeah, definitely. If you ever get around to it, we'd love to see some pictures of that. Current science is corrupted, sabotaged, and omits lots of critical facts. So we don't doubt it at all, any way, shape, or form. Of course, in our opinion, theoretically, for philosophical entertainment, we venture to say right on the money. Okay? Turkey is wild, absolutely. Yeah, whole system's corrupted. There are so many components and aspects to that of what is, that of what can be, that of what, embarks to become understanding, knowledge, wisdom, truth, all right? Mixed in with that of all the falsities, falsehoods, and misrepresentations that are, to where eventually it's at the breaking point, okay? Either people put up or shut up. Either people have the receipts or they don't. Either people know that the world that we are operating on now and the metrics that we use now are placated with the fallout from Joey. That's right. Disgusting. Okay? If it's from Joey, it's a Noe. You need to utilize in your guys, in your metrics, in your understandings, the ways to be able to correlate a safety mechanism, all right, for with which you can keep yourself safe from Joey at all costs. Okay? Because Joey will placate, and if Joey is inherently the one turning those freaking frogs gay, okay, whether one metric or not, if Alex Jones was right and wrong at the same time somehow, hey, and Joey was the one turning those freaking frogs gay, the truth will out, okay? Now, believe you me, the limestone thing sounds good to investigate, but the Joey turning the frogs gay, I mean, if we're looking for subscriberships and view count, I mean, Joey turning frogs gay, that's subscriptions and thumbs up right away. It's like, what? You did a show on Joey turning frogs gay, placating Alex Jones's right and wrongness? I don't know, maybe. Did we? Did we not? One fact you must know about Turkey, never speak bad about the one dude. Quick way to get your head busted. Now, you need to be careful about what you say in a lot of places for sure, all right? You need to always understand that what is very important or holds true to that of oneself may not very well be as important or hold true to another. So if someone shoots off at the mouth like that of ourselves, us not being under a NDA or not working under an HR department, we can only get ourselves into the troubles of that of whom wishes not to associate or affiliate themselves with us under the guise and metrics that they wish not to. Okay? Now, Shyzabox need not apply, therefore Shyzabox will not apply to any of these big companies. If Elon Musk wants us, if Donald the fucking Trump wants us, if Jeff of the fucking Bezos wants us, you come to us. Shyzabox ain't tracking these motherfuckers down. We don't know them. Okay? They might be moguls and industry leaders and things of that nature, and we may not be. But the snake eats its tail. It does not chase its tail. Believe you me, Shyzabox is snake-like. Or if that's an insult, maybe not. Doesn't matter. Who cares? Subjective, right? Joey. Bleh. All right. Oh, and that dude is Turkey's George Washington is one of the greatest leaders of modern times. Well, very well. Yeah, we should look into that too. We recognize the first name. We know we mispronounced the hell out of it, and we definitely recognize Mustafa. The Kamal throws us off at the end, and things of that nature. But believe you me, we are not as hip on all that information as we wish we were. Bunch of Shyza, absolutely everything's a bunch of Shyza. You know what else a bunch of Shyza? Nothing to celebrate. We're out of swill. That means we're going to end the show now. Everyone's been great. Thanks for sticking around. If you want to get out of here before us, now's your chance. Otherwise, we're going to have to do the whole beg for money thing. Money? No hand. Not yet. You have to tell people, be sure you take care of yourself first and foremost, because there's only one you, okay? There can never be a replacement for that of yourself, and believe you me, the role you fill in that of your own life in accord metric of understanding is more important than you may put weight on that of your own metric and understanding of that of where you fall into, wherever you fall. So you take care of yourself first and foremost, because believe you me, there's only one you, and we can't replace you by making a fake account and subscribing to ourselves innately. We get in trouble for that the more we do it. After you take care of yourself, first and foremost, you look around, you take care of any neighbor you see that is truly suffering, might need your help and or a hand, that more so than you know, and might not know how to ask for it, okay? Hey, you have a great one, K-Money. We'll check you later. You have a blessed day as well. And yeah, absolutely. If it's from Joey, it's a no-y. Take care of yourself first. Take care of anyone else who needs it second. Look around. Kick the shit out of any Joeys in your life. Kick them out of it. Not anyone named Joey, obviously. We do not condone violence. We hate violence. Violence is stupid. Don't violence, it's dumb. You kick Joey's malfeasances out of your life. In all aspects. If it's from Joey, it's a no-y. Then you look around the room. You take care of anyone else that you like or love more than us. Unlikely. Maybe you like 6 or 7 people more than us. Maybe, maybe not. You might be in the corner looking around the room. You see us saying, did you take a note in your official live stream note-taking journal? You're like, no, I'm not buying that shit. Like, oh, okay. You see us peddling our other wares. Buy our poetry book. You're like, hell no. I've heard your poems. Fair enough. Pickle Punk Philosophy, Transmutating God, Nailing Kalimba. We sell them all. I'm not buying. Fair enough. You take care of everything else that you need to. Because believe you me, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, beggars can't be choosers. We'll take whatever crap you got left over. Because remember, we don't want your subscription, we want your money. So downvote the shit out of this. Go to Cashapp and give us a buck, and or go to Amazon.com, search Shyzabox books, and buy one of them. Get off our lawn.